this. And then after that, you can also start learning about the definition of other key terms in MUN. But basically, this is the key terms that you need to know, 4 key terms that you need to know in Malo UN. And this is how we start our mentoring session. Okay, we can next to the next slide.
Sir,
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure. Well, actually, I just new to this thing, and I start join on the conference of Global United Nation,
Yep.
and and I'll try to make some decision paper, and I'm kind of a little bit confused about the topic.
Okay.
So I'm taking the socium,
Hmm.
and it is about eliminate the racism, racial discrimination,
Okay.
xenophobia, and relate intolerance. So I was wondering, is that a topic, or should I make some topic from what my country stand for, something like that? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Who is this? Is it Juwan? Thank you, Juwan, for the question. It's a very good question, by the way. So, if you take part in a Model UN competition, you will see a theme or a topic presented for your committee. For example, Juwan participated in SOCHAM. SOCHAM is Social and Humanitarian Council. So this is a council that oversees social and humanitarian issues, basically everyday issues that you see in the field. For example, racism, xenophobia, and also discrimination. If you are given a topic, basically this is a topic that the whole committee needs to know and also learn. So the whole country will learn about this issue, but it does not mean that your country has to learn the same issue from the same perspective. Uh, each country, for example, Juwan was in, for example, Juwan's country is Indonesia. Indonesia, for example, takes racism seriously, for example, but it does not regulate everything racist, all of related racism issues. They only regulate, for example, racism about discrimination based on the color of the skin, for example. Indonesia prohibits discrimination based on religion. Indonesia prohibits discrimination based on gender orientation, for example. But Indonesia does not regulate discrimination based on sex, for example. Then you have to cater that issue. You have to find issues about that. So not only in the topic that the study guide instructs you to do so. So there is this freedom when you participate in MUN where you have to understand that, again, this is your country participating and not yourself. So once you know that your country is participating and not yourself, you will position yourself as the country, and then you will find issues that are relevant. The keyword relevant to the country. Only the ones that are relevant. If it is not relevant, then you don't need to, fully research about it, because what you need to know is that you only have to research about the ones that are relevant to your country. This is what we call as national interest, kepentingan nasional. If, for example, Indonesia's national interest is to defend Palestinian people, for example, but Indonesia does not put its national interest to defend, for example, South Korean people, even though they are discriminated heavily against North Korea, for example. Indonesia's national interest is more to Palestinian people as of now. So this is what we call as national interest, and I hope you guys can understand about how to focus on which issues and how to focus on the issues that are not actually really relevant to your country, because it will influence the score of your MUN participation, and it will also help you research more about your country. Okay, Joan, I hope it answers your question. And for anyone, if you guys have any other question, feel free to do so.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, no problem. Okay, okay, I will continue again. Okay, so I will use this new feature of Zoom where I will be in the presentation. Okay, I'm here. Okay, we will move on to the next slide. So, okay, this one. This is the definition for other key terms. So you can see here that this one right here, the one that is raising her placard. So this thing called placard is for chairs to identify your country. So who is chair? Chair is a person who is tasked to moderate and also assess the delegate's performance. Chairs are not participants of the MUN simulation. They only moderate, they only guide you on how to participate it in the right way. So which ones are the chair? The chair is the one over here. Okay, I'm using my hand. Okay, the one over here, these three guys. Okay, this one. This guy in the middle, and then the two other girls in the left and on the right part. These are the chairs. They are not participants, but they will help you in becoming a better participant. The one that is raising placards over here, the girl, this is the participant. You can see the name of the placard there. That's actually the name of the country, and then placard is the identification sign. Sadly, I'm not sure for Global Millennial MUN, but in offline MUN, you will be given placards for free. Well, not for free unless you have to pay, but you will receive the placard and then you can bring it home. I'm not quite sure with online MUN, but in offline MUN, you have to raise a placard for you to be identified. So some of you might be wondering, why do we need to raise a placard? Why don't we just raise our hand like this? Why don't we just raise our hand and then ask the chair to choose us? It's not the case with MUN, because in the real UN system, in the real UN meeting, you have to be polite, you have to be diplomatic, and then you cannot just talk whenever you want. Okay, you cannot talk when someone is talking. You cannot present when someone else is presenting. It's disrespectful, especially in international settings where everyone is coming from different backgrounds. For example, in Indonesia, uh, if for example an older person is talking to you, then you have to you cannot just cut them right away, right? Unless you are the same age with, for example, with your friends, you can just cut them right away. But you're talking about different people from different backgrounds, different ages, different nationalities. So you have to be super polite, and the function of placard is that you only raise your placard when you have to talk. When you're not raising a placard, then don't talk, because it's not your time to talk. Okay, so that's for placard. The third one is delegate. Delegate is, as I've said, the one that participates in the discussion. This is the main actor. So again, if you still remember my tips for participating in MUN is that involve yourself as a country participating and not yourself personally participating. Always imagine yourself as the country. Okay, the next one is the flow of the debate. So this is the flow of the debate. Basically, this is how we go in an MUN. The first one is what we call as roll call. Okay, I'm just gonna move up here. Okay, I'm so not with this function. So cool. Okay, the first one is roll call. Roll call is basically absent, guys. Roll call is absent. If you are participating in a lectures class, then the lecturers will choose you. No, the lecturers will say your name from the very top of the list until the very bottom of the list. For example, Abdur, I'm present. And then Bella, I'm present. Cinta, I'm present. Dodi, I'm present. So the chair will call every single country of the participating one, from the participating ones, to check whether they are present or present and voting. So these are the two keywords, present and voting. What is the difference? When you are present but not voting, that means that you are only present to the simulation, but you're not willing to vote at the voting procedure or the voting session of the simulation. You are only going to present. You're going to give a speech, but you're not going to say to the world or to the one that are present whether you are pro or whether you are contra to the exact discussion. That's roll call. The next one is general speakers
Excuse me,
list.
Mr. Abdul.
Yeah, sure.
Excuse me.
Oh,
Can I ask question? Actually, I'm a little bit confused about the role of United Nations. My question is, after we talk about some issue, you said before we make position paper and something like that, right?
yeah.
And we try to find out the solution. So what next? I mean, like, are we need to do something about that issue, taking action maybe, or we just as a representative of our country to talk about that issue? Or when we make the position paper, we make sure that we make some research for that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Okta, for the questions. Really good. Really good question. So when you are in a real UN meeting, your job is to represent your country, right? Your job is to represent your country and to make sure that every other countries present in the meeting understand exactly what your country needs, what your country believes in, and also what your country wants to do about it. So your job is only to represent, share your well, not your thoughts, share your country's thoughts, and also share your country's policies, so that anyone present present in the meeting can understand, oh, Indonesia believes that this issue should be settled with solution A, but the country of Canada believes that this issue should be settled with solution B, for example. So, Okta, to answer your question, you, as a diplomat, as a representative in the UN, you're not the one who will, directly settle the issue. For example, the issue of terrorism. As a diplomat, you will not meet the terrorists. You will not negotiate with the terrorists. That's the job of the police. That's the job of the army. But it's not your job as a diplomat. Your job as a diplomat is to ensure communication between countries and also between organizations. For example, Indonesia and the UN, and then to let the United Nations know that this is how Indonesia is going to do about this issue. So your job is only to represent, is only to delegate, and also for most importantly is only for making sure that everyone present in the meeting can understand what your country's representation needs and also wants to do about it. So I hope it answers your question about what you have to do after it. You only have to represent. That's all. Okay. I hope it answers the question. I believe if there's no more wants to ask a question, I can move on to the presentation. Okay, so general speakers list, this one, general speakers list or GSL. This is where you can talk about an issue in a general way, but you have to raise your placard for you to do so. That's the difference between the roll call. Roll call, you don't need to raise a placard because you will choose automatically by the chair. General speakers list, you have to raise the placard for you to be chosen by the chair. And then what you're going to talk about depends on the current situation of the meeting. If the general speakers list started at the start of the meeting, then you will talk about the issue in the most general way possible. But if another general speakers list starts in the middle of the meeting, then you cannot talk the issue in the general way. What you have to do is to talk about the issue based on the current circumstances of the meeting. For example, the current meeting, for example, the meeting is 2 hours, and then you already in the meeting for 45 minutes. And then the current situation, all countries are talking about the solution about the issue. Then what you need to talk about during the general speakers list is about the solution of the issue. It depends on the situation. So what is the function of general speakers list? It is a list of speakers presented in the chair's discretion to talk about an issue in a way that depends on the situation. Basically, that's the most general definition of GSL. Okay, so we move on to moderated caucus. Moderated caucus is more specific than general speakers list. Why? Because you need to talk about a subtopic of the topic currently being debated. For example, Juan previously mentioned an issue about discrimination. Then what you need to talk about in moderated caucus is the subtopic of discrimination. Do you want to talk about the solution? Or do you want to talk about perspective of each country regarding discrimination? Or do you want to talk about the current policy of each country? Or even do you want to talk about which discrimination issue that we're going to talk about? For example, the general topic is too general. For example, the topic is discrimination, but you don't know which discrimination to talk about, then that is the function of the moderated caucus or MC. We call it MC. You will be representing your country in moderated caucus to talk about issues that are going to be super specific. But bear in mind the word moderated. Moderated means that the caucus will be moderated by the chair and there will be time limits. You can only talk about a certain issue for a maximum of 2 minutes or 1.5 minutes or 1 minute or even 30 seconds. depending on the voting during the moderated caucus. For example, in a certain moderated caucus, there are 10 countries, 10 countries who want to talk about discrimination in each country. They want every country to share their perspective on this topic. And then after that, a voting is made. A voting shows that the majority of the one participating in moderated caucus agree that we have to talk about discrimination policy in each country for 1 minute every country for only 5 countries. So there will be these kind of agreements between delegates. It will be voted. So country A will propose this kind of moderated caucus. For example, Australia. Australia prefers only 3 countries speaking each 1 minute to talk about discrimination in each country. But Indonesia proposes a moderated caucus of all 10 member states. Each country talks about for 1 minute, but they're going to talk about discrimination policy in each country, limited to only discrimination based on sex, for example. So we have Australia's proposal, and also we have Indonesia's proposal. The moderated caucus, all the members, they will vote which proposal to choose. Are we going to move on with Australia's proposal, 3 country talk about discrimination for 1 minute, or are we going to move on with Indonesia proposal, 10 countries, each 1 minute talk about discrimination based on sex? Every country believes everyone has a right to propose in moderated caucus. You can propose anything in a moderated caucus, but the one proposal that is going to be chosen is the one that is voted in a majority decision. So majority means the one that beats the other. It's not 50 plus 50% plus one, no, but it's going to be the majority. For example, 10 people, 10 people, there are 7. For example, Indonesia proposal, only 3 countries agree, 7 disagree. So we won't go with this proposal. Australia, there are 8 countries agree on this proposal. The 2 does not agree, then we will move on to Australia's proposal. That's how the system works. It's based on majority decision. Okay. We're going to talk about unmoderated caucus. If anyone has a question, just cut right away. It's okay. So unmoderated caucus, basically the same thing with moderated caucus. The only difference is that it will not be limited by rules. So you can talk about anything in unmoderated caucus. You don't have to propose, just like in moderated caucus. You can just talk about anything, approach any country in an informal setting without rules, but it will be limited by time. For example, 10 minutes unmoderated caucus. You can go to Indonesia, you can go to Australia, you can go talk to United States, you can talk to Russia, you can talk to United Kingdom, you can talk to France. Anyone that you want to talk with, you can do that, but you have to do it under 10 minutes. So what's the difference? What's the content of each caucus? What will be the big difference? The big difference is that in moderated caucus, you cannot approach someone in an informal way. In unmoderated caucus, it is possible for you to do it. Okay, so if you take a look at DPR meeting, for example, pertemuan-pertemuan DPR that you see on television, those are moderated because there will be this one person who will lead the whole meeting and decide which one talking and which one is not talking. That is moderated. Unmoderated, it's an informal meeting. Just imagine a party. Imagine a networking party. That's how unmoderated caucus goes. The last one is voting procedure. It will vote on working paper, and also it will vote on draft resolution. Okay. Okay, so this is the roll call. I'm gonna make myself bigger first. Wait. Okay. So roll call, we have present and also present and voting. You already understand the difference. Present is yes, no, and abstain. Present and voting is only yes and no. Okay. So if you are present, as I've mentioned before, you are participating, but at the same time, you can choose not to vote on a certain issue. That's basically abstain. Abstain means that you're not supporting an issue, but at the same time, you're not being in opposition to an issue. That is abstain. Yes and no. It's very clear. When you are saying yes, that means that okay, I will go with this one. But when you say no, no, I will not go with this issue. I will not go with this solution. So this is the part where the chair takes the delegates attendance list. Roll call. Are you present or are you present and voting? But roll call will not only commence in only one time. There will be another roll call during the voting procedures, making sure that the chairs can understand and also can be well acknowledged whether you are present or you're present and voting. Because a country can be present at the beginning, but then decided to be present and voting at the end. So there will be a lot of roll calls, but it is going to be based on the chair's discretion as to whether this roll call is necessary. Okay. Don't worry. You don't need to write all of this down because the committee will share the presentation. And then the next slide is going to be general speakers list. We've already talked about this. You will have to speak generally. There will be no specific topic. You can reaffirm your stanza solutions. Basically, it's 90 seconds. It can be 1 minute, it can be 2 minutes, but usually 90 seconds. At the remaining time, you can yield. So there's this thing called yielding. For example, you're given 1 minute, but you only talk about 30 minutes. You can yield your time. You can send your remaining 30 seconds to the other delegates, to POI. You can open a question and answer session, just like what I'm doing previously, or you can yield it back to the chair. It means that you're no longer continuing your presentation. You want to go to the other delegates or POI, it's okay. But when you are yielding to the chair, that means that you are finishing your time. Okay. I hope you can understand. It's very simple. When you want to yield, it's when there is a remaining time. When you already talk for a full 1 minute, the slot is also only 1 minute. You cannot yield your time because there is no remaining time. Okay, so that is yielding. We'll move on. Okay, so these are the do's.
Sir,
Yes, sure.
sorry, can you please go on to the previous slide
Yeah,
and talk something?
sure.
As you said that for this general speaker list, we talk about something very general. So, for example, if like the first country is talking about discrimination, and if, for example, the country is Indonesia and it's talking about discrimination for skin color, for example, and we're talking like in the middle of the meeting, so it's already, for example, already in the solutions, but our country doesn't really focus on like discrimination for skin color. So we just go with the flow, or like do we like switch topics, or do we just go with the first topic from the first country?
Okay, okay. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Cindy. That's a very
question.
great question. So when you are, for example, in the second general speakers list, in the middle of the meeting, is already in the middle of the meeting. There has been 2 hours meeting already, and you already talk about the discrimination based on color, for example. But your country is not really, thinking that this particular issue is relevant. So what should you do as that country? I would say stick to the flow because you have to respect other countries' discussion time and also discussion content. Because in a general speakers list, you have to talk issues, particularly the one that is currently being debated. So you cannot talk about any other topic. You cannot talk about any other specific issue. You can only talk about the ones that are being discussed. But what if your country has no interest in doing so? For example, we're talking about discrimination, but in your country there has been no discrimination issue. What are we going to talk about in general speakers list in that time? What you can do is to present your opinion as a country. How do you see this issue? How do you see the ongoing debate? Do you see it a productive debate, or do you see that this debate can be shifted into another perspective? You can do all of that as long as you do not talk about another specific other topic. Okay. So for Cindy, that will be the answer. You can still speak generally, but make sure that it goes hand in hand with what is currently being debated. Okay, so I hope it answers the question. So these are the do's and
Okay,
don'ts.
thank you, sir.
Sure, thank you, Cindy. So these are the do's and don'ts. Again, tell your country stance briefly, background briefly, solution briefly. The committee met the presentation and used briefly 3 times. So it's super clear that you only talk about something generally, only in a super brief way. Okay. If you talk about discrimination issues in each country, then talk about the general ones. Don't talk about the specific ones. The specific ones are talk in moderated or in unmoderated caucus. Okay. Those are the do's. The don'ts is that you don't need to be repetitive. Don't speak too long, and also don't speak too specific. Okay, I hope it helps you. So this is moderated caucus. Moderated caucus, again, is a subtopic. There it will be total time, each speaker time. It passes if it is on a majority decision. Uh, I said earlier that it's not 51. It is 51, but you have to understand that in a moderated caucus, it depends on which subtopic that is being prioritized by the chair. Okay, so for example, the whole committee agrees that we have to talk about Indonesia proposal first because the majority 50% plus one goes to Indonesia. But under the chair's discretion, so there's this thing called a chair's discretion. Okay, so what is discretion? Well, discretion means that chair has the authority to moderate the meeting in a way that the chair wants. So that is discretion, the formal definition of discretion. If a chair thinks that Indonesia's proposal is not irrelevant, even though the majority votes for Indonesia, the chair, under their discretion, can propose to not choose Indonesia, even though it passes 50% plus one. Okay, but it can only happen under the chair's discretion. If it is not, then we have to go with Indonesia proposal because it is the majority one. Okay, so that is moderated caucus. When proposed, okay, so this is the template. So previously, we understand that Indonesia and Australia, both of them have their own proposal. How do you propose? That would be your question, right? How do you propose to the chair that you want to propose something? So this is the template for that. For example, if you're France, delegates, you will have to raise your placard. Okay, I'm finding a book, this one. Okay, you raise your placard like this, raising your placard, and then the chair will choose you. Okay, delegate of France, you can talk. And then you lower down your placard, and then you say this. Delegate of France would like to propose a moderated caucus for 10 minutes in total, 1 minute speaking time, with the topic of the root cause of the issue. So remember that there will be chair's discretion, okay? Some chairs would allow a moderated caucus for 20 minutes in total, but some chairs would only prefer 10 minutes only, or even 5 minutes only total time. So what is total time? Total time is the total period of time needed for a moderated caucus to happen. For example, there are 10. We're going to use the same example. There are 10 countries in the moderated caucus. 10 countries, each one has their own speaking time. If we're talking about 10 minutes in total, that means that all of the 10 countries have to talk about 10 minutes. But it will be each 1 minute speaking time. Some of you might want to ask, Chair, do we have to speak in only 1 minute? No, you can talk for 2 minutes. So if you change the template, Delegate of France would like to propose a 10 minutes total time, but 2 minutes each speaking time, then there will be only 5 countries talking. Because 2 minutes times 5, it's already 10. If every 10 countries talk for 2 minutes, then the total time will not be 10 minutes, but it will be 20 minutes. Okay, a simple bit of math. I hope you're not bored yet, but it's how moderated caucus goes. Okay. Okay, we only have 12 minutes left. So this is the do's and don'ts. Make it simple. Don't jump agenda. If you talk about root causes previously, don't talk about the solutions already. There will have to be a flow. and then give a speech based on the related motion. If the one that is agreed talks about the motion of root causes, then talk about the causes of the issue. Don't talk about the solution yet. Okay. So these are the moderated caucus. This is the unmoderated caucus. You can see on the picture right here under me. Okay, I'm gonna move myself over here. Okay, so this one, a lot of people, they are approaching one another, but it won't be happening in a Zoom conference because it's online. Okay, but in an offline setting, you're gonna have to meet these people like this. Okay, no barriers, no limitations. You can approach anyone because it is unmoderated by the chair. There will be only a total time 10 minutes. You can go around the whole room like this. Okay, it is informal. You can talk about anything. You can talk about any specific issue or general ones. It's up to you, but you have to propose this unmoderated caucus during the moderated caucus. Okay, I hope you understand this. For unmoderated caucus to happen, you have to propose it in an unmoderated caucus. So it's not something that the chair suddenly say, okay, we're going moderated caucus. No, it's not how it happens. You have to propose just like you want to propose in the previous motion, but this time the motion is going to be about unmoderated caucus. Okay, so what's the function? Is usually to make blocks and drafting. Why are there blocks in in a United Nations? Because not every country can agree on everything. Okay, United States of America, for example, probably President Donald Trump will have disagreements with Mexico. And also, for example, Indonesia. Indonesia will have disagreements with the country of China for some specific issues. They cannot be in one block. So you have to make a block for you to pass a draft resolution. Okay, I hope you understand that. Okay, 10 minutes time. I hope I can make it on time. Okay. So how do we propose it? And it's simple. Just say delegate of your country would like to propose unmoderated caucus for 15 minutes. Can it be 20 minutes? Yes, it can be 20 minutes. Can it be 30 minutes? Yes, it can be 30 minutes. Only if the chairs agree. Okay? Because for example, I have been this in one particular MUN where I propose a 25 unmoderated caucus. Super rare. It's not usual to propose a 25 minutes, but the chair's discretion, under the chair's discretion at my particular MUN experience, they agree for a 25 UMC because they believe that this is going too long and we have to make another unmoderated caucus. So 25 minutes is okay. So you can propose any total time as long as the chair agrees. Okay. Okay, so this is the unmoderated caucus do's and don'ts. Definitely, you have to be super diplomatic. Yeah, you have to be super diplomatic, and then you also have to listen to others. Try to create blocks. Don't be too dominant. Don't cut someone when they speak. Don't be unethical. Don't talk about unnecessary stuff during unmoderated caucus, especially in a Zoom conference, because the chair can see you and hear you directly. In an offline MUN, it probably won't be happening because the chair is way over there while the delegates are over here. So it's going to be a different case with online MUN. Okay. So tips for speech. Okay, I'm gonna move myself over here. Okay. First one, grab attention. You have to grab attention. Jadi orang yang caper, teman-teman. Grab for attention. Start with coding, showing some pictures, facts. Start your speech with a very interesting statement. That will be my our tips. Why would I need to grab attention? Why don't we just speak as usual? Why do we have to grab attention? Because not everyone is willing to hear you. Okay, people are going to be bored. People are going to be uh, not really interested with what you're about to say unless you grab their attention. Okay, the second one is structured. You have to elaborate your speech. You have to start with opening by grabbing attention and all that. Make sure it's structured. Okay, start your speech by opening the speech. Do not start your speech by closing the speech. Okay, so don't start the speech with thank you and we'll see you next time. Don't do that. It's not how you start a speech. Start it with an opening, a content, and also a closing. Okay, the last one is clear and on point. In an MUN, everything will have to be counted with timer, so use it efficiently. Okay. Okay, so this is the one of the do's. Formal suits, definitely use third person. This is very important. Don't use I. Okay. If you see at the template, you can see that it says delegate of France would like to propose something. It's not I want to propose this and this and this. Okay, you don't use first or second person in MUN. Sorry, you don't use first person, and you don't use second person in a first person perspective. Okay. Third one is research. You have to research definitely, unless you already know it under your brain, super fine, but you have to research it. Be diplomatic. You have to behave yourself. Okay, you're a diplomat. You're representing your country. Don't be someone that messes around. Okay, and then speak up. Always prepare and respect the chair. Well, not only the chair though. Respect everyone. The delegates, the chair, the committee. You have to be a respectful person, a decent human being. Okay, in order for you to be diplomatic. Okay. Okay, these are the don'ts. Don't wear casual t-shirt. Don't wear the t-shirt that I'm wearing. This is not a diplomat t-shirt. Okay, this is only for mentors trying to fill in mentorship classes. Talk without chair permission. Don't do that. Only talk when the chair lets you to talk. Don't panic. Okay, because everyone has their own starting experiences. You don't have to panic, and don't be late or don't sleep because it will impact your behavior. It's not impacting your behavior, it's impacting your face. If you're not sleeping, your face will look sleepy and it might be bad for you because you cannot keep up with the conference. Okay. Tips for research. As usual, you have to know the mandate. You cannot solve a security issues in a UNICEF committee. Okay. You cannot solve a cultural issues in International Court of Justice because we have mandates. Okay. Make sure you know the mandates. Don't talk about solutions that your council cannot be mandated to do so. Second one, know the background of the topic. Third one is understand the framework, the past action. And the last one, the plus, okay, the committee says the plus number 5 is possible solution and also country stance. Solution is the key in MUN. We're not going to talk about it right now. We're going to talk about it in the next session. But what you have to know is that be a country that proposes solutions based on factual data. Okay, so you have to propose solution based on factual data. Okay, you cannot propose a solution that you think is good while the fact of the matter is that it's not possible to happen. For example, you want to eradicate poverty, kemiskinan. You want to eradicate poverty by giving everyone $1 million. Okay, where will the money come from? Okay, you have to talk about a possible solution. Understand your country stance as well. Okay, we have 4 minutes. This is the last one. There will be homework. Okay. Okay, I hope you guys are encouraged to do this. Okay. It will be discussed in the next meeting, but you have to start your research your own topic. Okay. Remember that we are not going to make you submit this homework. It's not that you have to submit it, but in the next meeting, you have to start researching about a certain topic and you can put it in an essay or in a list or probably in an Excel sheet or even probably in a presentation. It's also okay. Make sure it contains your research about a topic. And then each and every one of you will talk about it for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes in the next session for you to start practicing your speech and also your research, because those are the 2 steps in starting your MUN experience. First, you have to start learning about researching and also learn about talking like this. Okay, it will be discussed in the next meeting. We'll vote about it after this. I will put a vote after this, just like in the previous one. We're gonna have to vote on the time of the day of the next meeting, and then you can start your researching. Start doing your research after that. Okay. So thank you, everyone. There's a quote. This quote by the committee. Okay, I'm still here. Okay, I'm gonna move myself first. Okay, you don't have to be great to start because everyone who is in their first time is not always great unless you are blessed, unless you are super privileged, unless you are lucky, then you can do that. But mostly you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Okay, those are the tips. I hope you guys learned a lot of things tonight, and we will see you in the next meeting. Anyone want to ask a question before we close the session? Anyone?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
About the homework, the topic could be from any country, right? Or are we going to be assigned with a particular country?
Yes, thank you, Dian, for the question. It can be any country and also it can be any topic. But make sure that the topic that you research is based on a certain country's perspective and not your mom's perspective or your brother's perspective. It's a country's perspective about a certain topic, but it can be any topic and also it can be any country. Okay, thank you, Dian, for the question. Anyone want to ask
Thank you,
again?
sir.
Okay, I hope you guys understand. Feel free to chat or mention me on the group if you want to ask me about anything about the homework or about MUN. I will make sure I answer all the questions. Thank you very much for taking your time, and we'll see you in the next meeting. Okay, thank you everyone, and have a good weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.